I'll answer all the softballs. Keegan will answer the tough ones. First of all, I just want to thank the fans for coming out. That was a great crowd. The weather cooperated in a spring that the weather wasn't always great. I thought we got some really good work in the stadium. Obviously, we were vanilla on both sides of the ball. I thought the guy that kind of stood out to me was Zachariah McPherson. I thought he made a bunch of plays, played with a lot of confidence. It was great to see that. But overall, you know, our coaches will be hitting the road Tuesday and Wednesday, getting on the road. Some will be traveling on Monday. It'll be really important for our players to come in and grade the tape on their own and be very critical of themselves. Focus on some of the things that we're going to need to do between now and camp to improve as a team. But most importantly, we're able to get some great work in the stadium, in front of the crowd. We stayed healthy today, which is obviously a big part of it as well. And we had a great environment. I can't reinforce enough how appreciative we are of the fans and the type of support that we get, and even you guys all coming out and covering us. It's special. There's very few places in the country like this, so I thought we got a lot out of today. I thought we got a lot out of this spring, but we have a lot of work to do between now and training camp to be the type of team that we want to be in the fall. Keegan, do you want to say anything?
Am I supposed to say some hard stuff? No. I just want to say that the atmosphere was tremendous today, and I really could not be more appreciative of you guys asking me to come and guest coach. I was even more than vanilla, since I don't know how to call plays. But the welcoming spirit and atmosphere of this university is the same as it was when I attended, and I think for the most part, I can see, you know, the guys are spry and they look excited and dedicated, and I look forward to the fall.
We'll open up to questions. Raise your hand. We'll get a mic to you.
Does Hingle McCringleberry have any eligibility left?
You know what? Yeah, he is a 12th year senior. He's still going for his. He's going for a postdoctorate. So I think if he wanted, he could come back and still play. And you know, so if you want to put him in the mix for tight end, then I think that you've got somebody who's still valuable. Well, I'll ask him. I'll give him a call.
Yeah. James, what did you think of Sean Clifford today?
Yeah, I thought he did some good things. You know, he tweaked his hamstring last week, so we didn't know if he was necessarily going to be able to play today. Our trainer, Andy Mutton, did a great job. He lived in the training room, and he was able to get out there and get some work done. I thought overall this spring he did some really good things, but you know, one of his strengths, you know, within our offense is obviously his mobility. That was a little bit limited this week. But yeah, I thought he did some really good things. He got a lot of reps to be able to grow, to be able to compete, you know, for one of those backup roles, you know, this fall. But overall, I think he's doing some really good things. He's a great kid. He's a tremendous competitor. Throws the ball extremely well, and his mobility has just continued to increase since he stepped on campus. So I think he did a really good job laying a foundation this spring. But he's got a lot of things he's going to need to work on going to fall camp.
James, first, why did you play Trace McSorley today? In the past, you've kept veterans out in the spring game. And secondly, I'll ask you the question you're expecting. How can you describe Mennett's progress this spring?
Yes. Well, first of all, Tommy was limited today, so that was why, you know, Trace got a little bit more reps than what we had planned on. And you know, we also want to be able to evaluate the other offensive players, so having Trace in there helps with that. And our guys do a really good job of understanding how to practice and to stay away from our quarterback. So we're able to play our quarterbacks typically and keep them you know, as safe as we possibly can from a practice perspective. So that helps with it as well. But yeah, I think if Tommy was available, Tommy would have got a bunch of reps, and obviously if Clifford hadn't tweaked his hamstring, you would have saw very little of Trace. And then Mennett. Mennett's had a great, you know, off season. Really, you know, probably one of our more improved players in our program from the end of the season till now. We think he has the ability to play all three inside positions, you know, right and left guard as well as center. I think he may have a, you know, really bright future at the center position as well with his quickness. So, you know, he creates some flexibility, which is what we're trying to create throughout our program. Guys that can play multiple positions, solve problems for us. But overall, I've been very, very impressed with him really since the end of the season. He's been much more durable. When he first got here, he had little nicks and things like that, which was affecting his development. But he's been durable. He's been really coachable. And has made tremendous strides in a short period of time. So he's going to have to continue in that path between now and camp.
James, the spring overall for your early enrollees, how do you feel that went? Just kind of getting those guys in here, getting them acclimated.
Yeah, as we all know, it is very challenging to play as a true freshman. You see it more and more, obviously, in the culture of today's football. But obviously, the guys that graduate early, it is significant in terms of creating an opportunity, to make an impact earlier in your career. They're here, their heads are spinning during the spring, but they're starting to kind of figure it out. And then that allows them in the summer to really focus on competing because the game starts to slow down for them. Those other freshmen are going to show up. It's all going to be brand new to them. And these guys have kind of gone through that transition time. So the 6 guys that were here all evolved and grew, kind of at a different pace. They all kind of had a different journey. But there's no doubt the time academically on campus as well as athletically from an adjustment standpoint is going to be really valuable for training camp.
James, it seems you really stack up the blue team with most of your veterans, create a big challenge for the white. Did they respond as you wanted them to? And can you talk about your philosophy of breaking up the teams?
Yeah, I would not describe it the way you just did. It's basically the ones against everybody else is really how it is. I didn't think our second O-line played as well as I would have liked against the one defensive line, but that's challenging. That's typically the case. I'd like to see us play at a little bit higher level. Part of that, again, is not having some guys like Tommy Stevens and things like that available. We were a little thin at the quarterback position come the end of spring ball. But yeah, I'd still like to see our two, the white team, our 2 offense and our 2 defense, make it a little bit more competitive than it was. But yeah, overall, I'm pleased with what we were able to get done this spring. I was pleased with what we were able to get done today. But it's basically the guys that we think are legitimately in the battle at this point, if we were playing, this Saturday, that we think would factor into the game.
James, it used to be guys could play 2 sports years and years and years ago. You let Hippenhammer play baseball. Why did you do that? And I guess you must have been pleased with how he responded today on the football field.
Yeah, Mac, that was part of the recruiting process for him. He wanted to play baseball. And, as we all know, going to Penn State in general, just being a student at Penn State is challenging. And then to try to be a student and play football is really, really challenging. So to think it's like high school where you can play 2 sports and go to school, that's very, very challenging. It's very, very difficult. So I said, look, I'm open to it, but it's all going to come down to how you do academically. If you handle your business in the fall, from an academic perspective, you handle your business from a football perspective, we think you're ready to take on this additional responsibility, then we'll do it. And he crushed it in the classroom. I mean, did better than I even anticipated. And then, obviously Coach Cooper had a spot for him, and I know Coach Cooper's been really pleased for him. So basically, once spring ball started, then we shut him down from baseball because he's on football scholarship. And now once spring ball has ended, then he'll go back to doing baseball as well as academic responsibilities. So I know they're very pleased with him. I know Mac's been excited about it. I'm excited to go over to support Coach Cooper in the baseball program and watch Mac. It should be fun. It should be exciting. I know our team will be rallying behind Mac as well as the rest of the baseball team. So, for the right kid in the right situation, I think it's doable.
Keegan, how did you get back involved doing stuff with Penn State football? Can you take us through that a little bit? And what has it meant to you? Obviously, you're having a lot of fun doing it, but I see you out there singing your alma mater, and it looked like it was something special to you.
Yeah, I think part of my journey that's interesting is that my parents' best friends were Pennsylvanians. And so as a small child, I watched Penn State football. And so when I had an opportunity to come here to do my graduate studies, it ended up being one of the top choices for me for almost nostalgic reasons. The good thing is I'm glad it all played out that way, because I ended up going to a high-level university for what I was studying. And I taught acting for non-majors here. I was in the Theater 100 company, and so I had constant and personal contact with the football team. I already had a sense of liking football and liking Penn State football, but then to have these players, have a personal relationship with some of the players, meant quite a lot to me and resonated with me. And so it's been a big part of my life. And when James came in, he's really infused this new energy. And we have started a friendship, and I think we're of like minds in regard to what a student athlete is. I get very, very excited when I see him. I get excited when I see him get excited about how well his students do, and I get very excited when his players have, some of them get privileges. They get a small privilege here or there if they have better GPAs. It's lovely that academics are as important to him, and so that's part of where the love comes from. And then just coming for when I was here to do to be the Grand Marshal for homecoming, it was really interesting that I had noticed it. Somebody had said, "You look a little bit like the new head coach," and the rest is history. So I'll take it. If the fact that our genes are similar in some way, shape, or form is one more thing that brings me back to the program and having a sheer love for the program, then so be it.
The only thing I'll add is Keegan's fiance came up to me and she goes, "Coach, do you think we should pad Keegan a little bit across the midsection?" I didn't necessarily love hearing that. And then Keegan, before the game, took a family picture. It's going to be our Christmas card this year. So it was Keegan in with my family. And I have not seen my wife that happy in a long time. I mean, her face just lit up, and I wasn't completely comfortable with that. So, it is what it is. Obviously, I need to get on the treadmill.
We have time for two more for Coach Keegan.
James, the young woman who ran the football, Brooke Fisher, what did that mean for you, and what do you think that meant for your players to be part of that?
Yeah, I think you guys know, Keegan talks about it a lot, about how important making sure that our guys have a very well-rounded experience here. Academically, athletically, socially, and spiritually. We're all over our guys when it comes to academics. And then what we're fortunate is Penn State has such a service-minded kind of community. And our players have really embraced that. I mean, I think you guys have seen it with Thon and the hospital trips and all the other things that we do. We have people come out to practice all the time, and our guys love it. So when we had the opportunity to do something today at practice with somebody from our community, our guys understand that a small act of kindness or a small moment maybe in our game or in our day can be dramatic for somebody else. So our guys spend a lot of time doing that individually. We try to do it as a program collectively. And to me, that's what it's all about. And on a day like today, where we can take 10 minutes and do something special for a young woman like Brooke, who is awesome, to me, that's what it's all about. We probably don't take enough time out of our days, all of us, to reach out and try to make a difference and do something kind, and do something positive, and do something thoughtful for others. So our guys have really embraced it. We talk about servant leadership all the time, and I'm really proud of our guys.
James, it may be a little bit early to ask this question, but how do you feel like you and your staff handled the lead up to the recruiting aspect of this day with all the official, unofficial visitors, underclassmen, juniors coming into town, your class of 2018 is back. How do you feel like you guys were able to handle all that with the new rules?
It's challenging. I mean, I know there's a lot of discussions about staff size in college football. It's gotten big, and I get it. But when we also make the rule change to go official visits earlier, I don't know how you manage it all without the staff side. I think they've actually encouraged by changing the recruiting rules to make the staffs bigger. Because today, we got the spring game. I think we had 160 recruits here unofficially. We had a number of kids on official visits. And we got to show all these kids how important they are to our program. And then on top of that, we have to run our own program and develop our own players. So it's a challenge. I get why we did it, but I also think we just made the argument for staffs to get bigger. And I don't know if that makes a whole lot of sense either. So it is challenging. I think a lot of times people watch college football. I know Keegan's been able to kind of be able to peek behind the curtain a little bit. And if you guys, I wish, saw everything that goes into organizing this and planning, just the spring game alone. And then you take the spring game and you got 160 unofficial visitors. And then you have the official visitors and their families that are coming. And then again, I got to be what I want to be, which is the best father in college football. And I want to be the best husband in college football. And we're supposed to balance all that. It's challenging. So I'm not saying this to get sympathy or any of those types of things. I'm just trying to state the reality of it. And it's challenging. And I think it makes it even more challenging when you know at Penn State we want to do everything the right way and we want to treat people in a first-class manner. That's our fans. That's the recruits. That's our current players. It's all of it. And it's challenging. It's difficult.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, good step, man.